I'm Professor Andrew Lowe. I'm Director of the Environment Institute at the University of Adelaide, soon to be Adelaide University. I do what I do because I'm strongly motivated to bring the research excellence that we have at the university to help tackle some of the most pressing environmental issues that we have and that we face as society. And I think one of the key things around that area is we can do excellent research, but if it just stays in scientific journals or books and doesn't get out to influence practice or policy, then we've almost failed to do the complete job. So very keen to help promote really good research and then apply really good research. The Environment Institute has a membership of over 100 academics from across all faculties, who are actually members across 15 different schools. We work by investing really in good ideas, good research that's actually going to lead to either good research outcomes or good impact. So we're kind of a catalyst investing in and supporting good academics working with partners to achieve real outcomes. So the current article in Lumen really started from the previous issue of Lumen. There was we did an article around the planetary boundaries and what are some of the issues that we're facing in terms of environmental issues. Then there was an open call, I understand, for what should we be looking at? What are some of the key questions, some of the key issues that we need to be addressing? So then there were a number of different questions that came in from the readership of Lumen. So I constructed an article really to pull out what some of those themes were that were in the environmental and sustainability space, and what is some of the research and the activity that we're doing at the university that's helping to address some of those concerns. You know, it was really interesting reading the concerns and the questions. I think you had a number of questions which I'd say were at the systemic level. So really around questioning the sustainability of our lifestyles, from the idea that that the planet is infinite and infinitely providing, and then issues with why don't we sort out that sustainability piece. So there's quite a few issues around that, and that cuts to how we govern, how we lead, and the examples that we give. But then down to some quite specific issues. There's quite a lot of issues still around climate change and the recognition that we've probably got the solutions for climate change. Why aren't we implementing those? And what can we do to help adopt some of those solutions? And what can we do to actually set an example of how you move into a kind of climate-adjusted future? And then down to some quite specific local issues here within South Australia, issues around pollution, particularly plastic pollution. And there's been quite a lot of research recently which has shown that even we pride ourselves here in Australia and South Australia in our pristine environments, but recent research from the University of Adelaide has showed that there's certainly microplastics in our coastlines and also in our river systems here in South Australia. So, a broad range of concerns from systemic to global to local issues. So the Environment Institute undertakes a range of research. We've started a new initiative around pollution, and the forever chemicals, PFAS, are a new range of chemicals. We're still understanding the impact that they are having on our environment, right through to microplastics and those issues. So those new pollutants are becoming major issues. So we have a group of researchers that are starting to describe the distribution of those pollutants and then the impact that they're having. A new area around climate research. There's been a range of climate models that have been constructed, and those have been quite tried and tested. I think the issue is how do you respond to the predicted climate, but also what impacts is a changed climate going to have, particularly on our financial systems and our systems of governance. So we know it's going to lead to how we grow crops due to those climate change impacts, but things like within the insurance companies, insurance premiums are going up because of floods and fires. what's that going to mean for affordability of living? So climate change has a whole range of other impacts and consequences that we're just starting to understand. So the Environment Institute is investing in establishing research nodes to really start understanding that those broader impacts, and then right through to how we live sustainably, how we introduce more urban green space, for example, to get that kind of climate mitigation, but also the benefits for being surrounded by green space, right through to how we help conserve some of our most threatened and endangered species here in Australia. So first question from Charles Jackson. Adelaide faces several challenges in the future, but the main one is climate change, with rising temperatures and increased bushfire risks in particular. Water security remains a concern as we rely heavily on the Murray-Darling Basin. So I think Charles's comment there really picks up on, I think, what are some of the key challenges for our future life. He picks out the issue of rising temperature, but also increased bushfire risk, also the issues around drought, the issues around flooding risk as well. One of the key issues is to be able to estimate what that risk is and what that will mean. So does it mean we won't be able to live in large parts of Australia? There are difficulties with the security of those predictions and then what we do to enact those. Certainly we're going to get sea level rise, and we're going to get about 1 metre of sea level rise over the next 20 to 30 years. So what that means for coastal properties as the climate warms and dries, then bushfire will become an increasing risk. And as you get more storm systems, you're going to get increased flooding as well. These things are actually very, very difficult to predict precisely. But what you can say is that these effects are coming at some point. So being able to roll out policy that allows people to plan for bushfires and can design properties and design mitigation strategies that reduce the effects of bushfires around properties. Issues around planning to avoid the worst impacts of building on flood zones and flood areas and being able to predict those, and also getting on the front foot with planning again for coastal inundation areas. So these are all areas where research can have a real impact in terms of maybe not precisely saying, okay, we're going to get this flood, tomorrow week, or we're going to get a bushfire a week on Thursday, or whatever it is. But when these events happen, because they're going to happen with increasing frequency and increasing probability, then this is what we should do to prepare for those. And that's the role of research, to make those adaptation strategies tractable, but also to be able to help provide the solutions so policymakers and those implementing change can say, okay, we've got this, we understand what's going to happen, we've got a solid way forward, we can use that research. Okay, so we've got another comment here from Daniel Bailey. I worry that future generations might only experience forests through VR headsets and taste fresh water from desal plants. But I'm excited too. Technology and sustainability are finally dating, and AI might just be the matchmaker we need. That's a nice comment because you're recognising perhaps some of the problems, but also the opportunities through technology. There's a lot of discussion around the role of technology, particularly as an adaptation strategy and also mitigation strategy for the future. I don't think technology is solely going to solve our environmental problems, and there's quite a big line of thought that we can do whatever we want to the planet, technology will find the answer. I don't believe that is the answer, but I think technology has a part. I think the issue around generating VR forests, virtual reality forests, so that we understand potentially what we're missing and we can become connected with nature, because connection with nature is a key motivator for helping to want to preserve and protect nature. So that's a really important kind of educational tool. But definitely technology has a role. For example, we now know the extent of forest systems through remote sensing. We're able to employ technology to help with the restoration of those. We can use drones that drop seed bombs to help with regeneration in difficult to get to locations, and we can direct those using VR headsets. So there's a whole range of really cool technologies we can utilize, but we have to utilize those in connection with kind of tried and tested methods of restoring both our biodiversity and bringing back the ecosystems that are going to provide the services and the kind of lungs of the planet that we rely on. And a final comment from Rachel Brodanovic: the future is terrifying. I have 5 kids. They're doing okay as loving, kind and generous people. However, I wish they didn't have such a bleak, hot, dry, catastrophic future ahead of them. My youngest will barely be an adult by the point of no return in 2030. You know, we would be fooling ourselves not to think that things weren't bleak in the environmental sector. The Stockholm Resilience Institute has kind of 9 planetary boundaries, and we're pretty much pushing through all of those boundaries. You know, we're surpassing species extinction rates, we're surpassing the rate of pollution, we're surpassing the rate of fertilizer deposition into our ecosystems, we're clearing landscapes at a scale never seen before in the history of the planet. So we shouldn't underestimate the challenge that we're facing. But at the same time, what we are seeing is we're seeing a lot of groups, a lot of community groups, a lot of people saying that's not right. It's not right that my children and my grandchildren won't experience the planet I experienced. It's not right that we should be sending these species to extinction. And hang on a minute, those systems actually help regulate and they help bring the prosperity that we have in humanity back into the earth. So you're seeing, so what gives me hope is the increased awareness of what you'd call the benefits from nature, and that's coming across at all levels now. And I teach within the university, and you see that at a level that I haven't seen before teaching at the university. So there's a lot more awareness of it. And it's not a kind of moaning, groaning kind of awareness. It's I want to do something about it. And so you're seeing the next generation motivated to change and to enact change, and then go out and want to do something about it. So I think societies move slowly forward. I think you can reach a tipping point of change, but that has to be spread by education first, and that's the role of a university to spread that, in a balanced way amongst our younger generation. You then get a tipping point of why aren't we doing something about it? It would be so easy to do it, and I think we're reaching that tipping point. And for me, it's not too late, and it's not too late to do something about it. We have seen areas of the planet that have been completely degraded and then brought back to functional ecosystems. Extinction is a one-way street, but apart from that, we can bring the systems back. It has to have the will and the political support for that, but that starts with education.